So, hi everybody. Are you a little bit sleepy after lunch, right? It's so hot outside. Anyway, hi, Shelly Hershkovitz. I'm product manager in Google Cloud, part of Apigee, specifically working on API security. I'm really excited to be here with you. Let's talk API security. So, in today's digital world, APIs are becoming one of the most frequent attack vector out there. And in this slide, you can see a few examples of media headlines around API security, which are related to API vulnerabilities. You can see brand names like Tinder, Peloton, Uber, and Optus, the most recent one, if you heard about it. You probably ask yourself why. Why are API security so popular these days? Well, APIs are the front door for your digital assets, data, and business logic. So many of our everyday life activity are supported by APIs. If you register your kid to school, whether you check your bank account balance, or if you order your favorite coffee on your mobile app. In this report, businesses and enterprises stated that there is a growth rate of APIs on an average of 201% over the last 12 months. So think how hard it is just to track all those APIs, make sure that they're secured, both existing APIs and the growing one, the new ones, and also make sure that there's no attack on your APIs, no breach or some malicious abuse. So why is it so hard to protect APIs? First, visibility. There are many reports out there that show that more than half of the enterprise's APIs will be unmanaged in the upcoming years. If they're unmanaged, you probably cannot control or cannot put any security tools on top of them. Next, configuration. So we did a survey with Google Cloud between businesses and enterprises, and we learned that the number one threat around API security that businesses are worried about is API security misconfigurations. Next, cost. Security incidents in general can really harm your bottom line. In this report, an average cost of a breach was analyzed to be around $4.35 million. And lastly, it's really hard to act and mitigate security incidents. In the same survey, we learned that 94% of the people said that they believe they have the right tools to protect from API security, while 62% of them stated that they experienced a security breach in the last 12 months. So they might feel secure, but the data comes and shows otherwise. Let's take a step backwards to those who are not so familiar with Apigee. So Apigee's mission is to organize the world's APIs as being part of Google. Basically, it's a facade in front of your APIs and workloads. Wherever they reside, it doesn't matter if they're on-prem, in the cloud, or multi-cloud deployments. For any use case that you're using those APIs, it doesn't matter. And more importantly, for any scale. So it doesn't matter if you have only hundreds of API calls per day or you have millions of API calls per day, you'll get the same level of service. On top of that, we provide a strong analytics tool. Those analytics come to help the user operate, govern, monetize, and secure those APIs. And lastly, on the platform, we're trying to answer the needs of developers, leaders, and security people. So the advantages of using advanced API security is that we're part of Apigee platform, an already existing strong platform to govern your APIs. We are able to help you manage the entire life cycles of their APIs, and we're also integrated into the GCP ecosystem with integrations into many security products. For example, you have here on the slide Mandiant ASM. On top of that, we provide many security features like risk assessment, abuse detections, reports, alerts, and recommendations and best practices, and many more, and I'll talk about it now. So Apigee has two main components, the control plane and the runtime. Advanced API security is part of the control plane. As such, we have visibility to the entire life cycles of your APIs. We also have visibility into the environment, how your Apigee environments are configured and how your API proxies are configured, and we can compare it and provide recommendation on top of that according to best practices. Secondly, we have visibility into an already existing analytics data. So we can run abuse detection algorithms and logic in order to find any abuse which is happening on your API traffic in real time. And lastly, we're integrated into the runtime in order to act in real time to any suspicious or malicious activity which is found on Apigee. So, what does it mean to have an API security program? First of all, you need to make every API visible, right? You cannot protect what you cannot see. You need to eliminate any blind spot on your digital environment around APIs. You need to discover all of them, both external and internal APIs, on wherever they reside, on multi-cloud deployments. You need to consolidate them into a hub, into a catalog, in order to manage their life cycle. Next, once you've found all your APIs and you're sure you don't have any blind spot, you need to make sure that you have a consistent standards of security across all those APIs, existing APIs, and of course, future upcoming APIs. You need to make sure that you can assess the risk for each API, and if something is misconfigured, you want to be able to take action on it in the platform in order to get it back to be with a strong security posture. So, after you found all your APIs, you make sure that all the security policies are in place for that. You need to make sure that you can detect any abuse which is happening on your APIs. If your API is experiencing some abnormal traffic or some abnormal activity, you need to be able to identify it, understand it quickly in order to act on it. So if you found some suspicious activity, you want the system to be able to act on it, maybe flag some suspicious activity, maybe redirect the traffic, maybe you want to deny the traffic. So actually, within the platform, you want to be able to act on it. So let's take a look how we can help you get more visibility into your API landscape. So the idea here is we're going to utilize Mandiant ASM, Mandiant Attack Surface Management. Mandiant has more than 250 built-in integrators in order to identify any external-facing assets. When I say assets, I mean virtual machines, host names, IPs, open ports, and of course, open APIs, public-facing APIs. It also adds a lot of information on top of those findings in order to help you understand what they are, like severity or active checks. What we do is we take all those API that Mandiant ASM found, and we push it into an API hub. So think of API Hub as a universal catalog of all your APIs. Again, doesn't matter where they reside, whether they are hosted on Apigee, on other API management platform, in public clouds, doesn't matter where they are, everything is streamed into the API Hub. The basic idea behind the hub is to empower your developers to reuse existing APIs instead of creating their own each time. And API Hub helps manage the API lifecycle. So from design, planning, pre-production, production, until end of life, with all the information around that. So, okay, so now we were able to find all those API, consolidate them into an API Hub. Now you should make sure you can ensure consistent security standards on top of them. And that's what we're coming with this feature. So the idea here is to help the user adhere all their API proxies to security standards, both internal and external, in order to avoid any misconfigured APIs that might lead to data leaks. The system evaluates each API proxy and environment, sees how it's defined, and also scores it, and also gives the recommended actions of what should be put in place, what policies, what security policies you should put in place in order to improve your security posture. As much as I like those dashboards and I think they're pretty, I don't expect you to actually sit in front of the dashboard. So we're also connected it to cloud monitoring. Cloud monitoring enables the user to get notifications if something is happening in your environment. So let's say that you have an API proxy, a payment proxy, very highly sensitive, and you want to make sure that if something changes on that configurations, you want to get an email or a Slack notification. That's what you can do here. You can define those kind of alerts to let you know if something is misconfigured. You can jump into the product, get understanding, get recommended actions, and fix it. This is also connected to PubSub, so you can push all this information into PubSub. For example, if you want to connect it to any ticketing system that you might have. And everything that you see here is accessible also through APIs, so you also can access it that way. Okay, so let's see a short demo around that. So what you see here, you see my security scores in Apigee environment. You see all my environments where their risk level with the security score, and you see the number of recommended actions for each environment. Now, what we can do is jump into the specific environment. Let's look at the local environment. First of all, you can see the top highlights for each assessment. So we have 3 types of assessment as part of the score: source, proxy, and target. Each one is focused on another set of assessments. So for example, the proxy looks at how the proxy is assessed, which policies the proxy holds. You can see they were in the distributions of the API proxies under the specific environment according to the risk level. So you can also see that. And now you can also jump into the assessment page to get more details. So first of all, you can get details of the assessment, what exactly was evaluated. But more importantly, you can get a list of all your API proxies and a dedicated risk level and score for each proxy with the recommended actions. So for example, this test 1 proxy has a authorization recommendation, which means that the system suggests that you'll add one of the following policies in order to improve your security posture. That's what I thought would happen. Okay. Okay, so now that you found all your APIs, you made sure that everything is configured correctly, you have all the security policies on top of them, you want to make sure that everything is operating securely in runtime. So you want to be able to identify any abuse or business logic attacks or attacks that focus to extract data from your APIs. For that, I'm really excited to tell you about the new machine learning models that were recently released. These models are Google-owned models, were trained, maintained, and supported by Google to identify specifically scraping attacks and anomalies. So this is the way for Google to share the security and machine learning know-how and bring it to the hands of the customers. Now, we also added in product close to real-time dashboards in order to show the attack landscape. Only today I talked with a customer who told me that security people like dashboards. So we have also dashboards here. We also added clustering algorithm onto those dashboards in order to cluster the detected traffic, in order to reduce the amount of traffic detected, in order to help the user focus on the most sensitive and critical incidents. And we also added a lot of context for each incident that we find. For example, we enrich the traffic. We're planning to enrich it even more with threat intelligence information. So the whole idea here is to help the user in a matter of seconds to actually understand if there is a security incident, if it needs their attention, if they need maybe to involve other people in this incident. Okay, so all the detected traffic the rules that we just saw, everything is supported by strong reporting capabilities. So you can customize, create any reports you want in order to see what was detected by the traffic. Again, everything is accessible through APIs, and you can also get the information from the APIs and stream it to any SIEM that if you're working to create your own dashboards and to correlate it with also other security products that you might have. Okay, so now that we have more visibility into the traffic patterns on the APIs and in Apigee, now what we want to do is if we find some suspicious activity, we want to be able to act on it. And again, this is one of the advantages of Advanced API Security because we're part of Apigee, of the API management platform. We're able to integrate into the runtime in a really efficient way with minimal latency impact on the runtime in order to actually take action on the traffic. So what we offer here is the user will be able to act on suspicious traffic, whether it's to flag it for downstream workloads or flag it in order to correlate it with others in your SIEM with other alerts, security alerts that you might have. You will be able to deny traffic if you decide that it's malicious. You are able to redirect the traffic and everything within the Apigee platform. So yes, we have a demo for that. I'm sorry, I don't have a demo to show an attack. I promise you next I'll do that. I'll just have a demo that will show you how the policy is being configured in Apigee. So here you can see I'm going to create a new action. I'm going to call it next demo. What I want to do is I want to deny the traffic from everything that was detected as the ML scraping, by the ML scraping model. I'm going to apply it on my environment default test. I'll set the expiration that it will never expire. And now I'm going to choose the action that I want to use. So you can see allow, deny, or flag. You can see here that I'm with flag, we're adding a header name and a header value. So you can add this header to the detected traffic in order to, maybe do with it something with this information in your downstream workloads. Oh, no, that didn't want to happen. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, here. So this is flag, but no, I want to deny the traffic from the ML scraper. So I'm going to choose that. Now I'm going to choose a predefined message to the client that was denied. I'll choose 404 just to hide the reason that I rejected the request. I can choose the set of conditions, so currently it's IPs and detected rules. I'll choose the new Advanced API Scraper. I can also, you see, create other conditions in order to have a more sensitive and tuned rule. Now I'm going to create. I created it. That's great. I can see it in my list of rules. And now I'll see that the rule exists here. We'll see also that it's enabled. Of course, we can disable it if we want. We also added a dashboard to show the action itself. So here we get more information about the action, but we can also look at the traffic of the action, how the traffic was impacted in the last 2 weeks. Of course, nothing was detected and denied because we just created the action. But basically, you'll also be able to see any traffic that was acted on with this new policy. Okay, great. So to sum it up, basically in Apigee, we believe in shift left and shift down. Shift left aims to help scale security people, right? So I talk with many customers. They tell me that security teams are pretty small. They need to scale. They need to bring more tools into the hands of the API developers and API management owners. So we are trying to do that with a lot of security configuration, automation around that, alerting, notification, everything in order to bring more tools into the hands of the API owners around security. And shift down, we mean that we actually want to put everything more, push it towards the platform, that platform will serve you, that it will detect things automatically, will detect any misconfiguration or any abuse, will let you know, will also give you the recommended actions, what you need to do in order to improve your security posture, and get back in line to a strong API security posture. Thank you very much for joining me today. It was a pleasure for me. If you have any questions, I'm here after the presentation.